What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Nio. I want to go over some of the current data points, what's been coming out associated to the company itself, and whether right now is a time to buy or not. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, Nio is down 2.04%. Market's been open roughly around 5 minutes and a good amount of volume, somewhat for it being a Friday. So 1.22 million shares being traded, 57.1 is the average. No official news from Nio, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So it has been just piggybacking off of the broader market for a while now. Even when CPI did come out, it had a nice kind of run up to, I think it was like 5 or 450, something like that. So it's just been piggybacking off the broader market. There is some negatives that's really been affecting it. More specifically this, as you can kind of see, I'm sure everyone is already aware of this by now because it seems like everyone is talking about it. Tons of articles. So EU announces additional tariffs on Chinese EVs. So this isn't the end all be all for Nio. Now, a lot of people are associating to Nio because of the amount of money that they did put into Europe, but a lot of people, this is just one of those many things that has really affected Nio, just geopolitical issues. And as I brought up, Nio is among the most discounted EVs out there because of that very point. But like I mentioned, there is a ton of articles coming out associated to that. I think latest one that did come out was this. So it kind of talks on how a lot of people are bypassing that whole tariff and by building a facility in Thailand, and a lot of Chinese vehicle makers are doing that. As far as I'm aware, I don't think Nio, well, at least based on Nio's last earnings, they didn't really allude to anything like that, even though in this article it says Chinese EV makers saw Europe tariffs coming and already have a plan. So I don't think Nio falls under that, but in here it actually even talks on how much money they've actually put into expanding into Europe, because that way they can actually sell it at a markup and there's a good demand for their vehicles out in Europe. So it's just one of those very, very unfortunate scenarios. And just to give you a good overview while I'm on Interactive Brokers, Elliott Wave technicals are pointing for it to go down. And so this is why you've been getting a lot of volatility. Has $5.46 as a pivot. So for as long as it is below that pivot point, then it is anticipated to get roughly around that 350 range, so the mid threes. But yeah, I think in reality, people just don't know how to really analyze Nio. And so in my opinion, based on what their output is, it is at a pretty deep discount. Similarly, I think a lot of analysts might agree with me. There was a couple of ratings that did come out yesterday, such as Bank of America, Ming, who has a 25% success rating, $6 price target, and then DBS did give a $7.10 buy rating, and they have a 54% success rating. And it really sucks in general, coming from an analyst standpoint, to cover any EVs because all your ratings are absolutely horrible. So when someone sees, for instance, a $5 or a $10 rating by Tim, 25% success rating, kind of just, it takes away from the actual rating itself. But then again, EVs have gone down. It's been a very, very fickle sector for a very long time and probably for the foreseeable future. But ultimately, all depends on your mentality. If you are a long investor, such as what the analysts are viewing it as, and just Nio's output, then yes, it is a deal. If you're one of those individuals that likes to look at technicals and everything, then there is more downside anticipated, at least in the short term. But once again, I'm just bringing up all the data points. You guys do whatever floats your boat at the end of the day. Moving on from here though, going over shorts. So shorts right now are increasing around 34,000 shares. Not all that much in reality, but 13.24% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 172.4 million shares overall are being shorted. Utilization 80.67%. So shorts definitely have been lingering around with Nio for a very long time. As you can kind of see, pretty much even throughout 2023, it's been roughly around that 13% range to 10 to 13%. So rather high if you ask me. Looking at options, so I don't want to refresh this. This is from yesterday, which at that stage, 2.04 million in calls, 4.21 million in puts, and 61% of all the options being done yesterday were optimistic and bullish. So I'll refresh this because the market's only been open like 10 minutes. So obviously this won't refresh yet, but right now a lot of money is getting into Nio through options. 204,000 in fact for calls, 46,000 in puts. Sentiment wise though, this is also why you are seeing more of a suppression coming from Nio, because market makers do not want a lot of these very volatile stocks to close above these strike prices. So the closest strike price right now is 450. This is why you've seen a suppression when it comes down to Nio, because looking at the open interest, currently there's 10,000 in open interest at the 450 and then 20,000 at that 5. So market makers just simply wanted Nio to get pulled down. So again, it's just another form of manipulation. Just in Nio's case, it's not as apparent as normal. So once again, let me know your thoughts on that. Larger institutions are still overlooking Nio. There's been one transaction first thing though on the secondary market above $100,000 just occurred, so $420,000. So that probably was one of these maybe transactions, but still big money is very much overlooking Nio. And I've brought this up time and time again, just looking at the PS ratio, like there's no expectations for Nio in the foreseeable future. So I don't know, unless I don't really understand what can happen. I think these geopolitical issues are always going to be lingering around despite Nio's output. So Nio is a very frustrating stock because they actually do a good job and they have been investing a lot of money in their actual technology itself. And so it's just, I don't know, it's one of those mentalities, like I said, depends if you are a long-term investor or if you are a short-term trader, because Nio is a very volatile stock. You can definitely just trade it back and forth. But yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, like I said, if you're trying to catch the bottom right now is not a time to buy, but based on their output, like they're going to probably hit their 2024 targets. They just have to do, I think, roughly like 30,000 every single month from here on out until the end of the year, which I think is achievable. I could be wrong though, so that might be a little bit too optimistic. But moving on right now with it at $4.33, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks and EV stocks, it is massively discounted. And for the most part, any stock right now that's trading between these ranges, it's kind of garbage. So I don't know why, once again, just the market is treating Nio as trash, whereas they produce more than a lot of vehicles, automakers out there, such as even Rivian and even Lucid more specifically. So it's just a very interesting scenario, but nonetheless, just watch for 404 to be that next strong support, and then $4.56 to be that next strong resistance / target. On the actual chart itself, lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, you do see it very oversold. So if there's a good piece of news confirmed by the company itself, then you are going to see a rush of value investors, as what you kind of have seen in the past, and that usually does result in a good at least 25% uptick. So that could be coming sooner rather than later. Today so far, number of retail investors are getting in, so people are buying the Nio dip. So better question is, are you buying the Nio dip or are you selling? What are you doing behind the scenes? And like I've said in the past, I myself, I really like Nio. I'm not in love with it though, and so I'm more so swing trading it. I'm still holding my two positions. 650, I would have been nice to have had that green during this recent run, but 650 and then $4.38 I think is my other average. So right now both are in the red. As far as next time I would be averaging down, I think it would be probably around that where the Elliott wave technicals are pointing to, 350, and I think that's, in my opinion, a good risk versus reward at that stage. Very much in favor of more upside there. So let me know your thoughts on Nio. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.